Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be exploring some pretty fascinating research on the neuroscience of human flourishing.
Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and we've got a whole stack of scientific literature to dig through here.
Looking forward to it.
Me too. And we're going to unpack how our brains are wired for social connection,
Uh-huh.
empathy, and even compassion.
It's a really exciting area of research. For a long time, the focus was on how our brains help us survive threats and dangers. But now scientists are increasingly interested in understanding the neural basis of what makes us truly thrive, what makes us flourish.
Yeah, and I'm really curious about the role of touch in all this.
Oh, yeah.
I know we often think of it as kind of a simple sense,
Right?
but I have a feeling there's more to it than meets the eye.
Absolutely. You're right. There's a whole world of research on what's called affective touch,
Mm.
which is distinct from the kind of touch we use to pick up objects or feel textures.
Okay.
This is the touch that makes us feel connected and cared for.
So is there a specific part of the brain that kind of lights up when we experience this kind of touch?
Well, it's not quite that simple, but researchers have discovered a special type of nerve fiber called the C-tactile afferent.
Okay.
That's particularly sensitive to gentle, slow stroking, like the kind you might experience during a hug or a caress.
Oh, interesting. So like these special nerves, they're picking up on those subtle cues of social touch.
Exactly.
Where do those signals go in the brain?
Well, those fibers send signals to the posterior insula, a brain region that's heavily involved in processing emotions and social information.
Mhm.
And this suggests a dedicated neural pathway for this type of touch that's deeply tied to our social well-being.
Wow. It makes you wonder if the lack of this kind of touch might actually have a negative impact on us.
Mm.
I'm thinking about how much our society relies on digital communication these days
Right?
and how that might be affecting our brains and our relationships.
That's a crucial question and one that researchers are actively exploring.
Yeah.
Raises all sorts of important considerations about the potential long-term consequences of reduced physical contact, especially during early development.
It's amazing to think that something as seemingly simple as a hug can have such a profound impact on our brains and our sense of connection.
It really is.
Speaking of complex emotions, let's talk about the amygdala,
Yeah.
often associated with fear, but I've read that its role might be a lot more nuanced than that.
You're right. The amygdala has traditionally been seen as the brain's fear center, but more recent research has revealed that it's actually involved in a much broader range of emotional responses, both positive and negative.
So what exactly is the amygdala's role if it's not just about fear?
It seems that the amygdala is highly attuned to anything that has a strong emotional significance for us. Think of it as a salience detector, constantly scanning our environment for anything that might be important for our survival or well-being, whether it's a threat or an opportunity.
So how does this relate to pro-social behavior? It's hard to imagine the part of the brain associated with fear also being involved in things like compassion and empathy.
That's where things get really fascinating. There's a growing body of research suggesting that the amygdala might actually play a key role in driving compassionate behavior.
Really? Could you give me an example of what that looks like in the brain?
Sure, one study looked at altruistic kidney donors,
Hmm.
people who are willing to donate a kidney to a stranger. Researchers found that these individuals showed heightened activity in the amygdala when viewing images of fearful faces compared to control subjects.
So maybe a more sensitive amygdala isn't just about being more aware of danger, but also more attuned to the suffering of others.
Exactly. It suggests that the same neural mechanisms that help us detect and respond to threats might also be crucial for motivating us to help others in need. It challenges the old view of humans as inherently selfish and points to a deeper capacity for compassion that might be wired into our brains.
Yeah, this is making me think about all those times I felt compelled to help someone in distress, even if it meant putting myself at risk. Could that be my amygdala kicking in?
It's certainly possible, and it's a powerful reminder that our brains are capable of much more than just self-preservation. We're also wired for connection, empathy, and compassion, and these qualities might be just as essential for our survival as our ability to avoid danger.
So we've got the C-tactile afferents picking up on the subtle signals of social touch, and the amygdala playing a much broader role in emotional processing than we once thought. I'm starting to see a picture emerge of how interconnected our brains are with our social world.
Absolutely, and that interconnectedness goes even deeper when we consider the phenomenon of social resonance,
Okay.
which is what we'll explore next.
I've heard a little bit about social resonance is that the idea that our brains actually synchronize with each other during social interactions.
That's exactly right, and it's one of the most fascinating areas of research in the social neuroscience today.
I'm really curious to learn more about how this works. It sounds almost like magic, but I'm sure there's a scientific explanation behind it.
You're in for a treat. Social resonance is based on some pretty amazing discoveries about how our brains are wired for imitation and empathy.
This is getting me really excited to dive deeper. I have
That
a feeling this deep dive is going to completely change the way I think about human connection.
I think you're right. Get ready to have your understanding of the brain and social relationships transformed.
I can't wait.
All right, let's jump in.
Let's do it.
So we've talked about how our brains have dedicated pathways for processing affective touch, and that the amygdala plays a more multifaceted role in our emotional lives than we once thought, including our capacity for compassion. Now, let's delve into this idea of social resonance.
Okay, I'm ready to have my mind blown. What exactly is happening in our brains when we experience this resonance with other people?
Oh, have you ever noticed how you unconsciously mimic a friend's posture or facial expressions during a conversation?
Oh yeah, all the time, especially when I'm really engaged in what they're saying. It's like we start mirroring each other without even realizing it.
Exactly. That's a great example of social resonance in action. And those subtle, unconscious imitations are actually driven by a network of brain cells called mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons.
Yeah, these neurons fire both when we perform an action ourselves and when we observe someone else performing the same action.
So it's like our brains are creating a simulation of the other person's experience, almost like we're stepping into their shoes for a moment.
Precisely. And this mirroring goes beyond just physical actions. Studies using brain imaging have shown that similar brain areas are activated in both the person experiencing an emotion and the person observing that emotion. It's like our brains are creating a shared neural space for experiencing feelings together.
That makes me think about how contagious emotions can be. Have you ever noticed how being around someone who's really happy can kind of lift your mood, or how someone's anxiety can make you feel on edge?
Absolutely. Social resonance helps explain why emotions seem to spread so easily. We're not just picking up on their facial expressions or tone of voice. Our brains are actually resonating with their emotional state on a deeper neural level.
That makes you wonder if we're constantly influencing each other's emotional states without even realizing it.
It's a fascinating possibility, and it highlights how interconnected we are as social beings. Our brains are constantly syncing up with the people around us, creating a sort of emotional feedback loop.
This makes me think about the power of music to evoke such strong emotions. Could social resonance also be at play when we experience music together?
That's a great question, and the answer is a resounding yes. Music is a powerful trigger for social resonance, especially when we experience it in a group setting, like a concert or a religious service.
Okay.
Imagine you're at a concert and your favorite song comes on. You look around and see everyone singing along, feeling the music in their bodies. That shared experience of emotion intensifies your own feelings, creating a sense of collective euphoria.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. There's something magical about experiencing music with other people. It feels like we're all connected by something bigger than ourselves.
And that feeling of connection is more than just a metaphor. Research suggests that when people listen to music together, their brain waves actually synchronize.
Wow.
It's like their brains are falling into a shared rhythm, creating a sense of unity and connection.
Hmm.
And this neural synchrony has also been observed during other forms of social interaction, like conversation and shared activities.
So our brains are constantly searching for ways to sync up with the people around us, whether it's through movement, conversation, or music. It's like we're wired for harmony.
Precisely. And this neural synchrony plays a crucial role in building trust, empathy, and understanding. It's like the foundation of any strong relationship.
This makes me think about all the ways we connect with others. Through music, from singing in a choir to dancing at a wedding, to simply sharing our favorite playlists. It's like music is this universal language that speaks directly to our brains and hearts, creating bonds that transcend words. But what about when we listen to music alone? Can we still experience social resonance even when we're by ourselves?
That's a great question. Even when we're listening to music alone, our brains are still engaging in a form of social resonance. We're connecting with the emotions and intentions of the musician, tapping into a shared human experience that transcends time and space.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like we're never truly alone when we have music.
And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of social resonance, its connection to compassion.
Okay, I'm really curious to hear more about this link between music, social resonance, and compassion. It seems like there's a powerful synergy at play here.
There is, think about the last time you were moved by a piece of music. Perhaps it was a soulful ballad that evoked feelings of love and longing, or a powerful anthem that inspired hope and courage.
Just thinking about it gives me chills. Music has this incredible ability to transport us to another place, to make us feel things we might not otherwise allow ourselves to feel.
Exactly. And those deeply felt emotions can open our hearts to compassion, to a sense of shared humanity that extends beyond ourselves when we're moved by music. We're more likely to feel empathy for others, to see the world through their eyes, and to act with kindness and understanding.
This makes me wonder if we could intentionally use music to cultivate compassion in our daily lives.
I think we absolutely can by actively listening to music that evokes emotions like gratitude, love, and empathy. We're essentially giving our brains a compassion workout.
It's like we're strengthening those neural pathways for connection and kindness.
And that's a powerful idea because it suggests that we're not just passive recipients of music's emotional impact. We can actively shape that impact by choosing the music we listen to and how we engage with it.
This has been such an eye-opening exploration of social resonance. I'm already starting to see the world differently, noticing those subtle moments of connection and realizing how much our brains are wired for empathy and compassion. But I have a feeling we're only scratching the surface here. What else is there to discover about this incredible phenomenon?
Well, one of the most exciting frontiers in social resonance research is the exploration of how we can harness its power to create a more compassionate and connected world.
That sounds incredibly promising. I can't wait to hear more. So how can we harness this power of social resonance?
Well, one promising avenue is through music.
Music.
Yeah, you see, music has this extraordinary ability to evoke powerful emotions and create a sense of shared experience, and this can be incredibly effective in fostering empathy and compassion.
So you're saying that music can actually make us more empathetic?
There's actually a growing body of research that suggests just that studies have shown that listening to music, especially music that evokes strong emotions, can activate brain regions associated with empathy and compassion.
That's fascinating. I've always felt that music has this unique ability to open my heart and make me feel more connected to others, but I never really thought about the science behind it.
And it's not just about listening to music. Studies have also shown that musical training can enhance empathy.
Really?
Yeah, musicians tend to show greater activity in brain regions associated with empathy and social cognition compared to non-musicians.
So are you saying learning to play an instrument can actually make me a more empathetic person?
It's certainly possible. The research suggests that musical training can strengthen those neural pathways involved in understanding and responding to the emotions of others.
Wow, I wish I had kept up with those piano lessons when I was a kid.
Well, remember what we talked about earlier? The brain is incredibly adaptable, so it's never too late to start learning an instrument or rekindle a musical passion.
Good point.
But even if you're not a musician, you can still benefit from the empathy-boosting power of music. Simply listening to music, especially music that moves you emotionally, can activate those same brain regions and enhance your capacity for empathy.
That's good to know.
Think about it. Music is readily available to almost everyone. It's a universal language that speaks to us on a deeply emotional level, regardless of our background or culture.
That's true.
And it can be a powerful tool for fostering connection and understanding.
This is making me think about the role of music in social movements. Music often brings people together, creating a sense of solidarity and shared purpose.
You've hit on a really important point. Music has this incredible power to unite people, to bridge divides, and to inspire collective action.
It's like music is this invisible thread that weaves us together, reminding us of our shared humanity.
And it's not just about feeling connected to other people. Music can also connect us to something larger than ourselves, whether it's a spiritual belief, a sense of awe and wonder, or simply a profound appreciation for beauty.
I'm starting to see music in a whole new light. It's not just entertainment. It's a powerful tool for personal growth, social connection, and even spiritual exploration.
That's beautifully said, and it speaks to the profound impact that music can have on our lives from our earliest experiences to our final moments.
This has been such an enlightening deep dive.
Yeah.
We started by talking about the simple act of touch, and we ended up exploring this vast landscape of human connection, empathy, and compassion. And I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how my brain is wired for these qualities and how I can intentionally cultivate them in my daily life.
Yeah, me too. And I think the most important takeaway is that these qualities aren't just nice to have. They're essential for our well-being, both individually and collectively. And by understanding the neuroscience behind them, we can start to intentionally cultivate them in our own lives and create a more compassionate and connected world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge. What small step can you take today to nurture these qualities within yourself? Maybe it's reaching out to a loved one, practicing gratitude, or simply listening to some music that stirs your soul. Remember, even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, creating positive change that extends far beyond ourselves. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey, and until next time, keep diving deep.